-2.
Oh, there we are. Welcome. Good morning to the live. It's Nick Perro. I have Lawrence Winterman with me. It is the sick of this show. Um, we have, or are hoping to have, special guest Qasim Rashid back with us today. He may not be able to join us, which is totally understandable and totally fine. I want to talk a little there was a um interview he was supposed to do yesterday, and I want to talk about what happened. Oh, there he is. Hello, good morning,
Done for you.
Qasim.
Hey, cousin. How are you
It's
guys?
doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Good. I've got some background noise. I hope that's not affecting our broadcast.
No, you should. That's at least from my side. It sounds totally fine.
Okay.
Sounds
Great.
good.
Great. Good to see you
Um,
guys.
Good to
You
see you
too.
too. Good morning. I know you have a little bit of limited time with us today. So I kind of want to jump right into it with you. Everyone, it's Qasim Rashid. We've had him on before. He's an amazing guest with us. Yesterday, I was about to introduce it too, was yesterday you were supposed to do an interview. Um, and I want to make sure I get her name right. It was Wissam Hamada.
Yes, that's correct.
Um, And you were not able to do that interview with her yesterday because she had to flee the Israeli military attempting to take her life. Can you talk to us about that? Because I think that needs to be a big story.
For those who are familiar with the name, you're certainly familiar with the name Hind Rajab. Hind Rajab was the 5-year-old Palestinian girl who was escaping Israeli bombardment. Her car was trapped and fired upon by the Israeli military. Everyone in the car was killed, and her 15-year-old cousin was also killed with the point blank shooting. And there's a horrifying, heartbreaking, devastating recording of Hind calling and speaking with her uncle and her mother, asking them to come get her, just to come get her because she doesn't understand what's happening. And as they tried to send an ambulance, the Israeli military also shot at the ambulance and killed all the aid workers. And when they finally found her 2 weeks later, she had been killed inside the car, more than 355 rounds fired at the car. And these were her last words. And Wissam Hamada is her honorable mother. And the goal of the interview was to speak with her about her daughter, about what is happening on the ground. As you know, there is a complete media blackout. The Israeli government has killed nearly 300 journalists, which is, by the way, more journalists killed than in all of Vietnam and World War II combined. And they have an international media blackout as well. And the only way we're able to get accurate reporting are from people on the ground when they're able to get internet access for a few hours at a time. And so we had coordinated this interview to be able to share from her directly, especially as this new film is being published shortly about Hind Rajab, to hear from her mother directly. And she had to flee last minute because the Israeli government was bombing right next to where she was, and for her own safety and security. I'm being told that she is momentarily safe from bombing, but again, these things change by the minute. And so we're continuing to remember her and her entire family in our prayers while being mortified at the genocide we're witnessing in real time.
Yeah, and you said a lot in there, and that last statement is really important. Is we need to be continuing to be calling out and mortified by a real-time genocide that's going on. Our press and our institutions are complicit
Mhm.
in covering up a genocide.
Yeah.
Like that, it cannot be said any less than that, and it shouldn't be said any less clearly than that. Is we're complicit in covering up a genocide right now as a nation, not by choice for many of us, but by association, and we push back, which is this. We're talking about it right now. So thank you for bringing this
Yeah, and I'll just
to.
add one really important point to this point you're making about being complicit is when you study what genocide scholars have written about the way genocide happens, there's typically 10 stages, and the 10th and final stage is denial. That there's a denial that it ever even happened. And now if you're watching how the Israeli government has partnered with Google for $15 million to suppress information on the genocide and to advance propaganda that it never happened. $15 million is a significant amount of money in this space. If you're watching, so-called the Free Press, which is a right-wing propaganda outlet, claiming that these children were starving, they were actually sick, and as if it's a flex to say that they were starving sick children instead of healthy children. So we're seeing this very coordinated attempt now. CBS now capitulating and has a bias monitor and bring on Barry Weiss, a right-wing, firebrand, a propagandist, genocide apologist, as their editorial discretion for the news. I mean, we're seeing a very coordinated effort by corporate media because they recognize that they can no longer contain this. And so they're going into full denialism mode. And this is why I say to everyone that it's not just about condemning it, it's about openly speaking courageously, holding your elected officials accountable, and recognizing that history is going to look very unkindly on those who are silent. This is a moment to have the courage to speak up and do so unapologetically.
Yeah. Qasim, yesterday you said something in a note that really it took my breath away when I read it, and which I think was your intent. You called this the Palestinian Holocaust. And as somebody who was born and raised Jewish, I think there's such a social conditioning, right? That word Holocaust
Yep.
only belongs to the Jews about the event that occurred in World War II.
Right.
And by framing it that way, it did take my breath away. And I think it breaks through the noise a little bit. So, just kind of
Yeah.
kudos in being able to kind of say it that way. And I think maybe that's kind of terminology that we should adopt broadly to really drive home the fact that, that like this is a genocide and it is on par with the Holocaust that the Jews, and the Romani and queer folks experienced at the hands of the Nazis. Like this is a level of atrocity, that will live in infamy forever because it is so horrific.
You're exactly right. And I want to add to that. I'm speaking not as a pundit when I say that. I'm speaking not as an opinion columnist. I'm speaking as an attorney who studies the definitions, the legal definitions of things. The words that I use are not meant to be bombastic, are not meant to, as you said, very lovingly take your breath away, or very emotionally take. They're meant to speak truth to what the actual observable situation is. And when you study the definition of the word Holocaust, it has three elements to it. It has targeted mass death by fire. And when you look at how many Palestinians have been incinerated by 2,000-pound bombs dropped on safe zones that they were forced into, and then burned to death by the fire from those 2,000-pound missiles, you tell me, how is that any different than forcing Jewish people into cages and then setting them on fire?
Right.
To me, it's effectively the exact same thing. If you're forcing people
Yeah.
into an area and setting them on fire, it doesn't matter if it's a gas chamber or if it's a 2,000-pound missile that's setting them on fire. You are burning them to death. You're exterminating them in a fire, which is the definition of Holocaust. And I think it is critical that we call things what they are,
Right.
because you cannot cure a cancer unless you name what the cancer is. If you see a lump in your body and say, "Oh, it's just a cyst," and I say this from experience, I thought it was just a cyst. It ended up being actual cancer. If I had just treated it like a cyst and not a cancer, a cancerous tumor, I would be dead right now. And
Right.
so that's why it's critical. If we want to save our humanity and just a very basic moral fabric of society, we need to recognize that this is, in fact, no longer, only a genocide. It's a genocide and a Holocaust, and we need to act accordingly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like we've talked a lot about in our networks on Banner and Backbone for between Lawrence and I is the use of words, and words really matter, and using the right ones at the right time is really important. And I hadn't said it before, but yeah, I think it's a Holocaust. It is. It's wrong also. And the only way to ethno-state is through genocide, and we're getting there. Like, that's what the Israeli government wants. It seems a lot of people in Israel want that too. Otherwise, it would have been stopped. Like, we have to admit too that as much as I love my Israeli cousins and my family who's in Israel, they haven't stopped this, and they aren't doing enough on their side either. And I
I mean,
think we need to continue to do more on our side.
I agree. I mean, I think with elections coming up, every person needs to be able to ask those questions to their elected official. Where are they on this issue? You know how we always get those fundraising text messages about, hey, I'm fighting for justice and humanity, donate $5. I started doing something a few months ago, and I've probably responded to nearly 100 text messages like this. I've only
Mm.
got one response, and I donated to that one person. And when they send me their text ask for money, I respond, will you stand with justice, the Constitution, and international law and stop funding this genocide in Palestine that our tax dollars are funding? And most people don't bother responding. One person responded and said, yes, absolutely. You have my commitment that I will vote against continued arming of the Netanyahu regime and we will end this genocide. And I donated to that person. But it speaks volumes that politicians don't realize that this is a core issue, especially on the left, that people aren't going to tolerate genocide and our tax dollars. I mean, for God's sake, 62% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, but we have money to bomb civilians and shoot Rajab 355 times. It's outrageous on every spectrum. It's outrageous. And I would ask those who are sincere about raising their voice that this is one way you can raise your voice by being very deliberate about how you spend the money out of your wallet.
Yeah. And asking, do your politicians receive money from APAC
Right.
or organizations that promote this propaganda? That's what it is. It's propaganda. It's a psyop from Israel at this point. It's a psyop from our own government to promote it. It's allowed in this country. And so thinking about things in this country, you said earlier in introducing yourself again, is you're a lawyer. And you choose your words very carefully and you're very deliberate about your words when you use them. Um, I wanted to check in to see how things were going on that front because I know you've been attacked on the legal side as well for your profession and for your law license. And I wanted to check in to see how that was going for you. And if there are ways that we could use our platforms to continue to help you.
Well, thank you. So there's two things that have happened. One, chief judge in Florida attempted to get me disbarred because I criticized a Florida court ruling that held a U.S. citizen on an ICE detainer. Even after acknowledging he's a U.S. citizen, they detained him anyway. And a couple things to note here. One, that's a denial of due process of law. And when you deny people basic due process, that's fascism. Plain and simple. I mean, that's the one thing that separates a functioning democratic republic from an autocracy or a dictatorship or a fascist government is that we have due process of law. I can't just come and take your rights away because I don't like the way you look or I don't like what religion you follow or don't follow. I have to show there's been a due process followed. And in that case, I was denied to Mr. Lopez Gomez, a U.S. citizen of Latino ethnicity. And so I called it out. Judge got upset, tried to get me disbarred. We filed a response, had to spend nearly $10,000 in legal fees, and we won. And then the judge filed an appeal, and we won that as well. And I had a choice. Do I stay silent or do I double down? And I very loudly and proudly doubled down and let the world know this is happening because I'm fortunate to have a platform. And I'll be damned if I get silenced just because of fear of personal safety. And then what happened yesterday, uh, in a similar vein, I received an anonymous text from a number and I wrote about this and published this yesterday, that threatened harm and violence against me because I'm continuing to speak up against Palestine. It's from an organization called the Canary Mission, an Israeli right-wing doxing organization that targets people, targets their private data, their home address, publicizes it with intimidation and threats to get them to be silent when being critical of Israel. Unfortunately for them, that's not going to bother me. I'm going to continue to speak up. I refuse to be intimidated by these acts of violence. I would rather live in a world where I know I've given everything I can to protect as many people as possible than to have some personal preconceived false sense of safety just because I protected myself. That to me is unacceptable. And so your question about how to support, I think there's a number of ways. The number one way is every person. I want you to understand the power of your voice. I want you to understand that you don't need to have a large social media platform. You don't need to have money. You don't need to have experience in the space to simply speak up and be courageous in speaking up. If you don't know where to get started, look for the organizations nearby and locally that are already doing the work. I went to an anti-ICE protest here in Chicago on Friday morning, and there were people there that had been protesting for years, and there were folks that had showed up for the very first time. And the thing is, it doesn't get any easier. So if you're worried about showing up, do it now because it's easier now than it is tomorrow. And it's easier tomorrow than it is next week. And so these are the two things. One, raise your voice. Two, show up at these events. And then if you have the resources, the support, voices like the three people on here, subscribe, donate. But don't feel like that's what needs to happen. Money makes the world go around. I get that. If you have resources, donate. But don't feel like because you can't donate, you can't contribute. Some of the most effective activists and organizers out there I know are the ones who are just showing up and donating their time, because I'll tell you what, that's far more valuable than money ever will be. So be there, be consistent, be active, and then be an inspiration for your circle of influence, because people will look towards you and they'll also start to do the work because they're inspired by you. Be that person.
That's amazing. Thank you. And that fits really, really well this morning with the poem that I put out. I put a haiku out this morning that was called Courage. And I think we're at the point where everybody needs to have their own sphere of courage. And so I'm going to read it real quick. It is contagious courage, clear course cast, cutting chaos, cruise charting cruel coasts. And so I wrote that haiku because an alliterative haiku because I wanted to challenge myself. Because courage is something that is challenging. When you're courageous, you're doing something with fear there, with the lie, with the chaos. You're still doing it despite all of that, knowing that it's there. But what it means is we have to be together. We have to collect our crews, our communities, and build our boats and then sail in a fleet together. And when people like Qasim come on platforms like this and share the courage that he has and that others have that are in Palestine that are continuing to get bombed and massacred and holocausted, because a Holocaust is an active event that is going on. They are being holocausted and genocided right now by our taxpayer dollars. And we can demand to stop that. That takes just a little bit of courage. And if we do it together, we broaden that courage. So, Qasim, I know you have a limited amount of time with us, and I want to make sure you get final word in for yourself. Is please plug yourself as generously as you want to, but also plug whatever message you want to leave us with, because you always have hope in the things that you say, but it's not hope. It's hope with legs. And I appreciate you coming on with us again. Thank you.
All the privilege to share a platform with you guys. I appreciate you and your voice and your courage and your consistency in condemning but then also building and calling to build community. And that's really my ask of everyone is look at your local circles and recognize that you can help build that community. Each one reach one. And you can either donate your time, your treasure, or your talent, or all three. But just whatever you do, don't be apathetic. Be engaged, be involved, and be somebody that your future self can be proud of. And that's the message I'll leave you guys with today.
I love that.
Amazing. Thank you for your courage.
Appreciate you guys showing up. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great day. And so everyone, as Qasim leaves, we're going to continue because, wow, thank you again for an incredible interview. This is the second time we've gotten to speak with him, and he's an incredible human being who is doing a lot. So please, like he said, support him, but it doesn't have to be monetary. Support him. I'm going to drop his link. The easiest way you can support him is just
I put it in
subscribe
a
and
couple
share.
times, Nick.
Yeah, subscribe and share. Like, just subscribe, share, like. You don't have to pay for any of our content, like you said. We appreciate it, but subscribe, share, like, and then don't stop talking about it, because he is under attack right now by organizations that are very powerful and have a lot of money.
Right.
Um, and collectively, we can help stop those attacks by collectively speaking out, because they can't target all of us. Their money is limited. And if enough voices speak out, it stops. So,
Yeah, I think there's a really easy thing that people could do right now, which is go to Qasim's site, go to his Substack, find an article or a note that you like that resonates with you, and restack it.
yeah.
Getting the message out by restacking is a really powerful thing that I think most of us don't do often enough. So definitely, just find something of his that's recent that really resonates, restack it, so that your network sees it in addition to everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a huge thing, is restacking and sharing is an easy way to engage with anyone's content. And we a lot of times we scroll back by stuff and we're like, oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. But you never hit the button. Just hit the button. The more the merrier, the more hearts during the shows, things like that.
Yep.
It draws people in, it feeds the algorithm. And
Yeah.
that's what we need to be able to get the message out, because there is a genocide going on in that Israel is perpetrating against Palestine. There is a genocide that has now become a Holocaust. And I think that is a powerful word. And took me a little bit to get my tongue around it correctly, because it's a hard word to say with family history relating to the
Sure.
Holocaust. But it's an important word to say because it's true, and words mean things.
Yeah.
Um,
When I read his note yesterday where he said Palestinian Holocaust, it literally took my breath away. Like, I think I gasped when I read it, because it, growing up Jewish, the Holocaust meant
mhm.
one thing and one thing only. And this is, we are seeing another Holocaust happen right in front of our eyes. And it is
Yeah.
incumbent upon all of us to actually say those words out loud. And if it shocks people and if it scares people and if it makes people push back, great. As long as they're getting engaged and their
Mhm.
minds are being cracked open. We've got to get people to understand that this is, an atrocity that is happening in real time, and it could be stopped. We could stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the power to stop it. One of the things you can also do to engage, that is also a free action, that's civic. It is a free civic action that you can take today. Call your representatives, call your state representatives, call your federal representatives. Ask them if they take money from APAC. And if they do, why are they continuing to support an ongoing Holocaust in Palestine? Use the words. Because like Lawrence said, if you put it out there and it's manifesting what is true to be the words that are being used, though. Like, words are supposed to hit you like that. The Holocaust is no longer the Holocaust. It is now just a Holocaust.
Right.
Like, think about that. We didn't, we, the Jewish government of Israel took away the one meaning of the one event that bound all of us to an ideal that it could never happen again. And we are letting it happen again by causing it, not only letting it, but causing a Holocaust.
Yeah.
The-
Nick, is it weird?
It's,
Is it weird for you? So I struggle with, you know, I, we've talked about being born and raised Jewish in this country, being an American
Mhm.
and also being
Yeah,
Jewish. I, you know, over my life, I've gone back and forth between when I talk about Israel saying we and saying them, right? Like, I've never thought of myself as Israeli, ever. Like,
yeah,
I was born an American. I'm 100% American, but I always did at least feel kind of a kinship. And like, I'm severing all of those ties in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
divorcing,
No,
which is
yeah.
a weird place to be. What about you?
No, I think that's a great way to put it. Um, is divorcing because yeah, like I don't see myself represented in any way by Israel now. I mean,
Right,
not by my, like, not by Judaism, not culturally, even the Jewish culture, I no longer see. Like, right now, I can't see myself with them. Like, they have severed that tie for me. Like,
right,
I didn't hate Israel. I don't hate Israel. I never will hate Israel. I'm saddened by the loss of kinship that I had with Israel because they were kins in Jewish culture and heritage and faith and belief and shared love and shared understanding of never fucking again.
right,
Never again. We went from the Holocaust to just a Holocaust. Like we caused our own Holocaust to no longer be the singular event in history that people went, oh shit, we shouldn't fucking do this because of that. Now they, they are doing it.
right.
They are doing. I'm not doing it. I don't support AIPAC. I don't support Israel. I don't support the genocide of the Palestinian people. I don't support a Holocaust. I never fucking will. My parents taught me never again.
Same.
The
Yeah, I
fucking bullshit.
people who know me know that I talk a lot about like generational trauma, right? And that I feel like our mission in this life is to not pass
Mhm.
on generational trauma. And so it feels like this isn't my experience, but the only analogy I can think of is like it feels like being, the adult child of an alcoholic, right? And realizing, doing your work in therapy and not passing trauma on to my own kids, but like your brother is, like I can't understand how the Netanyahu regime in Israel so didn't learn the lessons of the past that they are inflicting this trauma onto another people and losing any moral high ground that ever might have existed for Israel and the Jewish people around the world. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, and it's almost not even that they didn't learn the lessons of the past. It's they deliberately are choosing to ignore them because the
Right.
lessons are there, the lessons are learned. We were all taught like the whole teachings of Saturday school. I went to Saturday school as a kid for a couple years, um, until my grandfather died, and then he wasn't part of our synagogue, but after he died, my I'm Jewish also, obviously. If you couldn't tell by the look, like I kind of look like a Jewish dude. Um, at least an American
I was
Jewish
gonna
dude.
give you I don't know, like Lord of the Rings, King of the Dwarves or something, like
Well, I mean, if you want to get into the fake belief that Tolkien did it in a racist way, then, but he didn't. Let's
oh
be
shit.
honest, Tolkien was not a racist. Um,
I've literally never heard that before. Oh my God.
but anyways, I do look like a dwarven king. Dwarven women exist. They just don't have beards. Um, Sometimes when it's mating season, they don't have beards. When it's not, they do. But anyway, um,
We're
it
getting
is.
way off track. Fred is
Yeah,
providing
we're getting
time to
way
see
off
us get
track.
derailed.
We have to. I think we have to a little bit because like this is really such a serious and hard topic to talk about. For we're deconstructing our own system in real time. Like I'm not
I'm
planning
glad you
about
said
any
that
of
word
this.
too, deconstructing, because we've heard a lot of Christian folks talking about deconstructing their faith. And I
Mhm.
think I think it's a great word. I'm deconstructing my Jewishness right now because of what Israel is doing in Gaza. It is making me
Yeah,
question everything about the faith tradition that I was raised in, and coming to terms with who I am as a person, and that as a person I'm absolutely unwilling to sign my name to anything remotely related to genocide or
yeah,
Holocaust. Like just
yeah. Like
fuck all of that.
yeah, like we sit every every winter and do Hanukkah. We always do Hanukkah in our house. One, I love the food. I love the tradition. I love the like gathering and getting together, and it's about community and helping each other. Like the story of Hanukkah is they were forced into the temple and they didn't have enough oil for their lamps and their food to be able to survive, and they survived for 8 nights with one small amount of fuel that was only supposed to survive one. They made it eight, and then they got backup. Then the cavalry arrived, and the saviors came, and other folks came and helped them and gave them supplies and allowed them to continue living. I love that story. There's a story about the mensch on the bench for that. Like we read a mensch on a bench story every Hanukkah, and I do a Hanukkah meal every year for my friends and family. Like we invite people over. I love it. I love the tradition of it. I love the idea of a mensch. We have, instead of an elf on a shelf, we have the mensch on a bench, and he hides in the house. I don't know if I want to put him out this year because he has an Israeli flag. His name is Ishmael, and he goes around. He's a little mensch that just sits on different places, just like an elf. But I'm not sure I'm going to put him out this year. I have we have menorahs in our house just out. Like I'm not going to get rid of my traditions and my personality and who I am and see my ideas of Judaism, because now we're trying to deconstruct what it means to be Jewish, either culturally or religiously, without Israel associated. Like they can't define my Judaism or my faith or my uh what I can't remember my culture. They can't define my culture. Like that's too bad. Too bad, Israel. Like APAC, fuck off. I'm going to use, and I was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, Lawrence, while we're on, because both of us are part of Banner and Backbone. We're two of the co-founders. We have our friend Frederick Pogue here with us as well. Our other co-founder is, do you think we could use our Banner and Backbone platform to help boost the message in whatever way possible of deconstructing away from Israel in a non-hate way? Because nothing we're doing is about hating Israel. I don't hate Israel. I don't hate the people of Israel. There are a lot of people who have chosen to do a genocide and a Holocaust, though, and so fuck them. Like fuck those people. Hey, Millicent, welcome. Is I think we should use our platform to fight back against and call out
I mean,
Israel and APAC.
my response is, if not us, then who? Right?
Isn't that the response we've always like given? Like, I feel like there's a reason why they go after neurotypical and autistic or ADHD or anyone who's on any sort of spectrum that's not considered normal, which I don't think there really is, because we all have a biological purpose as to why we existed. Like, there's a reason ADHD is a thing and has stayed around forever, is because it kept you alert. Like you were probably the one at night sitting up on guard duty who was alert
Sure.
and who heard and felt something that other people didn't. And you were like, oh, I don't like that. And you went the other way and nobody died. Like that's what we are. Like I think that's the reason why they go after us, is because we also have a sense of justice and we know what is right and wrong. And I cannot be told by the media or others um, that the butcher and murdering of journalists and the wholesale Holocaust of a people in Palestine and Gaza right now, I cannot be told that that's not a Holocaust or genocide. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to be, I'm
It,
not
it,
going to be pushed into believing it.
it's
And
so obviously
I don't
clear.
want my legislators taking money from it. And if you take money, I'm going to campaign and work against you as hard as possible.
Yeah,
Always.
absolutely. Like my personal moral basis, right? My moral definitions, in no way can I support a genocide or a mass killing event or whatever we're going to call it. What's happening in Gaza right now is reprehensible. It should be stopped immediately. It should have never happened. And there's no way I'm signing up for any piece of it in any way. I will not be complicit. I will not be made to be complicit. I will fight back and push back in whatever way I can. So yes, we should absolutely do that. And we should call our legislators, and we should make it clear that, taking APAC, like somebody in the chat just said, PJ Schuster, telling our electeds that taking money from APAC is going to be a huge negative for them. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Hmm.
this is the line in the sand. No one can tell me that everything that I learned as a child about treating people as you would like to, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, killing people is wrong. Like, come on, don't fucking, piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like, this is a
Yeah.
fucking Holocaust that's happening. Fuck everybody involved. Trump and Netanyahu and every legislator of any kind, of any party who is, who is supporting this in any way, should all be gone and should all fucking go to hell, frankly.
Yeah, and I want to comment on something from Sunny that she said is there's a GoFundMe for Gaza. Is let's be very careful about GoFundMes for Gaza. There's a lot of spam and phishing ones. Um, what I would like to do is propose that maybe we make a sale on Banner and Backbone, and anyone who signs up you through Banner and Backbone, if you have not already, on that sale link is we will work with Qasim to find a good source or donate through him, whatever the best way is to get money to those who need it as quickly as possible. So expect soon after this, there's going to be a sale link for Banner and Backbone, and all of the proceeds from that will go towards Palestine and supporting Gaza and supporting the stop of a wholesale genocide and Holocaust. I think that is a incredible use of our money.
Yeah, great
And I
idea.
think is a great way, if you're able to financially support, that you can do it, and it would be on a continuing basis. If you do it as a monthly subscription, those are actually the best, because then we can continually give on a monthly basis in a sustained way. Um, and so monthly subscriptions, if you can, will be the best ones, because those we can give in sustained amounts every single month, saying guaranteed you're going to get this much from Banner and Backbone through our subscribers who want to support Palestine and Gaza. And we will put our names out there that we're anti-APAC. We're not anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel as the people. I'm anti-genocide and I'm anti-Holocaust, and I am no longer buying the narrative that I have to be pro-Israel as a Jewish American to be Jewish. Like,
Right.
that's really the byline is if you don't support Israel as a Jewish American, you're not Jewish. And I think that's fucking horseshit,
Right.
because my family is Jewish. My family fled Bolshevik Russia and Belarus and came to the US and has Judaism baked into our DNA, because it is a genetic thing too. There are genetic markers to being Jewish, especially Ashkenazi Jews. We have this lovely thing called where you get glucose intolerance. Like, that's a genetic marker of the Ashkenazi. Yay us. We got kicked out of Belarus in the early 1900s, in the 1920s. That's how we got to America. Same with Stephen Miller's family. His family is his story is almost identical to ours, except we didn't become racist bigots who want to flood the zone with genocide and create a Holocaust in America too, because if you don't think it's coming here, it fucking is. Like,
Right.
I'm not buying the narrative that it's not. Donald Trump has said he wants to go to war with Chicago. You know what authoritarian governments do right before they become full authoritarian governments? They put soldiers in the streets all the fucking time and do what are called Presence patrols. Chris Goldsmith talks about this. Presence patrols. It's what we do in war. When we were in Afghanistan, it's tanks in the streets, it's trucks, it's soldiers with guns, it's ICE agents raiding parades, raiding the celebrations that are supposed to be going on in Chicago for, I think it's Mexican Heritage Month. Like, go fuck yourself, ICE. Go fuck yourself, Donald Trump. Go fuck yourself, Stephen Miller and AIPAC and all of the evil shit that is being thrown at us. And I don't buy it. I don't buy the narrative anymore that being anti-Israel because they're committing a Holocaust is anti-Semitic. I never bought that one.
Yeah.
Because you can't be anti-Semitic. One, hear me out here. You cannot be anti-Semitic when it's two Semitic groups killing each other. It's
Well,
just called war. You can be anti-Semitic outside of that if you're not part of that group. But I'm not anti-Semitic because I'm calling out other Jewish people who are Semites for killing the Palestinians who are Semites and butchering them. It's not anti-Semitic for me to call my own people out and my cousins in Israel
yeah.
for their bullshit. And they're
Well,
fucking doing a Holocaust. They're committing a Holocaust.
and if genociding and holocausting people isn't anti-human above all other things, forget the Semitic or not Semitic, like fuck that designation. It's anti-human. What's happening in
Yeah.
Gaza is a crime against humanity, literally, figuratively, metaphorically, in every way possible. Right. These are war crimes. These are crimes against humanity. These are things that should get people convicted in The Hague and, imprisoned or put to death, right? Like
Whatever the
Netanyahu and
sentence may
everyone.
be.
Yeah.
And if the sentence isn't harsh enough, and if we don't collectively think as a world, because this is a global issue, this is a global issue. And when we come together and when the UN decides that it has any fucking power or voice, which UN, if you're listening, step the fuck up. Like the
I
US
will say,
cannot
and
dictate everything.
somebody noted this in the chat. The U.S. and Israel were blocking the access of the Palestinian Authority from being able to go to the United Nations meeting that's coming up in 2 weeks in New York. The UN very cleverly rescheduled their meeting to Geneva, to the Geneva location. And so the Palestinian representatives will be there. The only two countries that voted against that change were the United States and Israel. So
Just think about that. The only two are the US and Israel. Like, we're actively complicit as a government entity and as a partner to Israel and donor to Israel because they're a client nation to us as we donate all of this money to them and give it to them through our tax dollars. All of our money funds everything that goes on in Israel. And they have their own now. They built a flourishing economy on war. Their entire economy is built on war and destruction and death and killing. It is a war economy. We should have acknowledged that a long time ago. Their economy is Palantir and built on death and targeting civilians and very precisely killing groups of people and butchering human beings and international war crimes and
hey, Nick, here's a
crimes
fun
against
tidbit.
humanity.
Guess
Yeah,
who has universal health care?
Israel.
Yeah.
Guess who also has I think it's universal college education too, right?
Yeah.
Israel. We pay other countries to have what we are unwilling or being propagandized
Right. What
to
we're
not
told
want
we
here.
can't have.
Because if we start wanting to pay for it ourselves, maybe we'll start seeing that the actions that we're doing are causing death and that we have just been lied to and this bullshit propped up system needs to fall. And I'm fucking tired of being told that my labor or my efforts aren't good enough by people who don't fucking care and just want us torn down. And that's what APAC is doing right now. APEC
Right.
is actively doing that, tearing us down. They're putting people in places, like Qasim said, like they've taken over CBS News. She is the
Yeah,
lead,
there
like
you
the
are.
new head for CBS is broadcasting chief is a fucking APEC stooge.
Yeah.
Like it's the the time of mainstream media, legacy media is over. It's propaganda. It is just a psyop. It is a psychological operation, which is a wartime thing that is used to influence and change minds of populaces. We have an entire division in the military that is psyops. We have an entire MOS set, which is the military occupation specialty of PSYOP for psychological operations. It's a really tough program to get into, and they do a really good job. It's hearts and minds. It's how we actually won the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's how we were able to get out of Iraq in any sort of manner and have a system that's still kind of working there. Is hearts and minds. We won hearts and minds. That's PSYOPs.
Yeah.
They're using it to destroy our country, and they know it.
Can I just, I don't mean to interrupt you and cut you off because this is a great point, but Stephen said something in the chat I want to address. So Stephen
Yeah.
said, Israel went completely batshit after 10/7, but Netanyahu needed a war. I just want to point out that, like, in no way are we siding with Hamas, right? Hamas is a terrorist
Oh, yeah.
organization. The atrocities that happened on 10/7 were atrocities, and
Yes.
Israel had a choice. Netanyahu had a choice in that moment. He could have turned to the world and said, unite with me and help, let us liberate Palestine from the grip of Hamas. And let us make sure that the Palestinian people can build a state of their own that can live in peace beside Israel. He could have done that, but he chose not to. He wanted a war. It went along with his lifetime plan of pushing Palestine off of Gaza, pushing Palestinians off of Gaza and out of the West Bank. That's why they're building non-contiguous settlements across the West Bank so that there cannot be a boundary that can be drawn. Like, they had a choice after 10/7. They could have pursued their goals to eliminate Hamas in a way that actually united the world with them, and they didn't. They chose genocide and a Holocaust instead. And
Yeah.
so, Hamas sucks. Hamas is a terrorist organization. 10/7 was a giant war crime in and of itself. But Netanyahu's response is as bad or worse.
Yeah. Netanyahu funded Hamas.
Right. He let that funding flow in.
Yeah, he needed a war. He needed to create a war. And I blame Netanyahu for 10/7. I blame Netanyahu he's just as culpable as Hamas was for 10/7. And I think we should admit that because it would have never happened had he not funded them. Had he not allowed the funding to happen, to go through, 10/7 probably would have never happened.
Yep.
But he needed it to happen. He needed a war. He needed a way to cleanse the land of Palestine because they're all in a death cult at this point. We have to remember too, this isn't just Netanyahu alone. This isn't just Israel alone. This is the rise of autocracies around the world that are working together in coordination with each other to promote genocide and death and destruction because they need war for money. They need war for their economy. Capitalism is running its course on a lot of things, but the war economy will never cease to be a capitalist dream. Capitalists will fund war until the end of time. They'll just change the name of the government that's running it. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build that atrocity into our system too. And they're going to succeed if we do not actively push back. It's about courage now. There is no stopping the fact that a genocide and a Holocaust are currently happening in Israel and Gaza because of Israel. They're holocausting the Palestinian people. We in the US are going to holocaust a group of people if we're not careful too. All of those people are going to be brown, is what they're going to They're going to label you as brown or other, and they're going to Holocaust you. They're going to commit a genocide in this country too. They're planning for it. We've done it before. We've done it a couple times in this country. Like, let's not deny our own history. We're pretty vicious and evil
Yeah.
at times. We need to start coming together very, very quickly as individuals to collectively have courage to stand up and say no APAC money, no influence from Israel on our politics, because they should not be buying our politicians. That's Israel running our government and not we the people. We need to stand up because we're now at taxation without representation. And the last time that happened, there was a war. And I don't want a war,
Yeah.
but they're promoting one.
Steven said something else in the chat that I want to feature. He said there have always been Jewish Nazis, which is true. There were
Yeah.
Jews in Germany who literally supported Hitler and voted for Hitler and actually had an organization called Jews for Hitler, where they thought if they could get in on the beginning end, that somehow they would be exempted. You know what happened to all of those people? They all went to the camps and died. They all they got for voting for Hitler, for being Jews for Hitler, was murdered, the same as every other Jew in the country.
Yeah. Like, and Stephen, you asked another good question is what does standing up to guns look like? It means standing up to them. It means putting ourselves in danger if we have to. Like, I'm sorry. There's no other good way to put this. Like, if if that happens, then you have to be prepared too. Like, but the thing is, peacefully and patriotically means we are not the ones who spark war. We're not the ones who do things like that because war is destructive. It is only destructive. War does not build other than war machines. That's it. That's it. War cannot build. It can only destroy. The engineering and the building comes after the destruction, but we don't want to go to the destruction phase. Like we can skip that. Peacefully and patriotically means that the upcoming No Kings rally that are being planned, you better fucking be at. Like you better plan to take your day off from work and go to a No Kings rally. And you better promote it on whatever platform you have. And you better be speaking out every fucking day to say that you want to be at one of those events and that there's accountability when this is over. Is the next step is you have to be for something. You can't be against. Courage is being for something. It is having something that we care about. Sanctity, dignity, humanity. We care about people, but it is for accountability. There has to be an accountability at the end of this. There is a truth and reconciliation that will happen, and that will only happen if the people demand it. So you better go to No Kings.
We've gotten too accustomed to the idea. You know, after 2008, there wasn't the kind of accountability for the people who sort of engineered that financial crisis. We've gotten too used to in this country the idea that there aren't consequences for those in charge. Fuck that. That absolutely needs to change. We need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We need our own Nuremberg trials. We need to hold everybody accountable who got us here. And there will be no excuse that, you know, they were just following orders or they didn't know that it was going to end up this bad. Doesn't fucking matter. If you sit down with Nazis, you're a Nazi.
They knew. They knew. That was, I think, the best way to sum it up, though, Lawrence, is that if you sit down at that table willingly and happily with a Nazi, you are, in fact, a Nazi.
Right. So Bezos and Tim Cook and Zuckerberg and Musk and all of those guys who sat at that big fancy table at the White House this past weekend, fucking Nazis.
Nazis. All of them. Thank you, Lawrence. Exactly. Thank you. This has been an incredible conversation today. We're right at the top of the hour. We're just over. And both Lawrence and I have some things we got to go do. So I want to end this as we always do, which is one, thank you Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Lawrence, for co-hosting with me. Thank you, Qasim, although he's not here with us right now.
Yeah.
Qasim Rashid was our guest this morning for the first half. Incredible. Please go follow him. I will make sure he is linked fully in the show notes. Please subscribe to both of us, share, like. It's send it, forward it in your emails, put it on your Facebook. That's the easiest thing to do. And then call and get active because we have to be courageous now. So, Lawrence, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are now done being sick of this shit. And the publication may change its name here soon. I'm thinking of a rebranding because I'm done being sick of this shit and it's time we're doing this shit. So look out for some cool changes that I'm thinking of because we're going to be doing this shit and it's about action. So thanks, everyone. Let's stop being sick of it and let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.